Hey everyone, welcome back to the Half Soybean channel. My name is Sharon and today we're taking a little break from my wedding dress back there to tailor my partner's wedding suit, which is here. I almost didn't do this video because I just thought nobody would be interested, but I also feel like it would be kind of helpful for people who do want to tailor suits. I'm not a professional, but I do think this is kind of the easiest way to go about it. Well, at least for the types of suits that I've come across before. Today we're going to be fixing the sleeves length and also the pant length. Sometimes the waist is also an issue for people, but not for these particular pants, so I won't be able to show you. I'll just take you quickly through the pant hemming first because that's super easy, and then we can go into the sleeves. Okay, so before we get into the sewing, I thought it would be worth quickly talking about the pant lengths out there for suit pants. We've got a lovely article here by Patrick & Co. So we've got the cropped, which shows off some ankle, no break, quarter break, half break, and full break. We're going for something around the quarter break for reference. Here's our pant, and I've just marked where the pant needs to go up to with that tape on the one leg, but this doesn't include seam allowance. Have a look at how the pants have been hemmed originally, and I've actually never seen pants with a reinforcement like that on the back of the hem, but I am not going to add that back on because I'm lazy. So I left about an inch of allowance and made my cut, and using that cutoff I used it as a guide to cut my other pant leg as well. Then I just overlocked that raw edge. I've put my pants inside out now and folded and pressed the cuff up so I can start hand sewing. I'm doing a blind hem by hand, and what this means is that I'm sewing on the inside of the fold and catching very small pieces from each side of the fabric as I am demonstrating here. This is so that the stitch is basically invisible from the outside. You really need to catch a tiny amount of fabric when you do go to sew anything from the outer part of the fabric. I'm putting the needle under the fold, catching a tiny bit of fabric, and then coming out of the fold. Try to keep the distance of the stitches as even as possible as well. Then when you get back to where you started, just knot it off. I'm finishing off by pressing my new hems, but using a cotton fabric over it so I don't ruin the pant fabric. The type of sleeve will matter. Sometimes there are real buttonholes, but the majority of blazers I've come across have been fake, and this suit is also a fake buttonhole sleeve blazer. Sometimes we find really cute blazers, maybe like secondhand or I don't know, but the sleeves are a bit too long. Oftentimes a lot of tailors either don't leave like the mitered corner flap on, or they charge, understandably so, an exorbitant amount for you to get that like mitered sleeve. I'm hoping this is a quick and easy solve for those of you who just want to take up your blazer sleeves a little bit. So once again, let's have a look at another article for the perfect sleeve length for suits. The top one is an example of where the sleeve is too long, the second is too short, and the third is just right. So apparently you just want that little bit of cuff to show. And let us examine our original sleeve. Pay close attention to how your own sleeves look because every blazer might be built a little bit differently. I've also marked where I want my new sleeve length to be with a pin. Now for the scary part, seam rip everything. So this includes the buttons and that area of where the cuff is joined. And open up to where you can see those L-shaped flaps. take a close look at these corners. One is mitered and the other is just kind of a regular hem. There is also this large chunk of iron-on interfacing in the cuff area, so if you're taking a lot up, you might want to get some extra interfacing and apply that to the ends of your fabric, but I decided just to leave it. I'm also taking out the fake buttonhole decorative stitching stuff, as my buttons will no longer be in that position after the alteration. You want to mark where you want to cut your fabric, and it's always better to be a little bit more conservative than cut too much, and I cut about 3 centimeters down from where I had marked those pins. I guess just cut it off, there's no looking back. I've kept the bit that I just cut off so I can actually copy the mitered corner stitch exactly the same way on my altered cuff. And if you are taking up less than me, that means you might have actually had to take out that mitered stitch and had to iron that out and fold a new one. But maybe if you're doing that, just take some reference photos or videos so you can remember how it was put together. All I am doing is exactly copying how it was originally constructed. It was folded on a 45-degree angle and then sewed perpendicular from that diagonal. So pin it into place and we are going to sew that straight line. Now flip everything back out to the right side, and I'm using the point of my scissors to poke out that corner. And now let's go to the other side of the cuff. This was just a simple cuff edge, so all you have to do is really sew a straight line, and again you can compare it with the original cuff as well. I'm just folding right sides together and sewing that edge down and flipping it the right way. Now that both our corner cuffs are done, I pressed the new fold of the cuff into place. Here you can see the difference between the sleeves. It's been shortened quite a bit, but the lining hasn't been shortened yet, so that's what the green stuff that's sticking out is. But before we get to the lining, we've got to sort out the buttons. I am comparing the buttons with the original sleeves so I can figure out where it should sit on my new sleeve, and what I do next may trigger some people, I don't know, but originally I was going to copy the decorative button stitching, so I actually did this for 2 buttonholes, but then I was like, why am I even doing this when it is barely noticeable? I just felt like I had better things to do with my time and I just couldn't be bothered, so I left it at 2. But I'm showing you that it is an option to put the stitching back in. And you might ask, why didn't you just pull them back out? Again, too lazy, and I didn't even do any on the other sleeve, so it's not like I did 2 on each side. I just did 2 on the one side and left it. Anyway, I hand sewed the buttons back on. And here's a comparison of the altered on the right and the unaltered on the left. Make sure that the lining isn't twisted inside the sleeve or pulling too tightly, because that would be a recipe for disaster. Once it's all nice and straight, I just cut it so it is matching the length of the outer sleeve. I roughly estimated how much needed to be folded back in up the sleeve again, and then pressed it down. Again with a cotton fabric over the top, since you don't want to be melting that polyester lining, and it will melt on you probably. Then I just pinned it down and hand sewed around that circumference. And here it is, our mitered corner cuff is all done. I did the other sleeve off camera, but this is what the other side looks like, and I reckon it looks pretty good if I do say so myself, for a non-professional, of course. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope it is helpful for those of you who want to kind of tailor and alter your own suits. I'll be back very soon with some more content on my own wedding dress, which is obviously much more interesting. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon in the next video.